live, Saints fans. Welcome back to Saints Now by Chat Sports. This is the first live edition of Saints Now for the 2024 offseason. We went live all throughout the regular season, every week for a watch party, but the live content continues throughout the offseason, which is why you should subscribe if you haven't already. I'm so excited to be here. I got my boy, producer Seeps, on the ones and twos, and it's just so great to be back and see all your lovely faces in the live chat. We got Queen Courtney here. We got Ethan, a.k.a. Ethanol, Jerry G, Kermit the Frog, Ty Man, the Chat Sports legend, and we got Gerald Jenkins as well checking in. But guys, I want to get this comment section popping like we did on game days. Just rapid fire, give me an S in the chat for the Saints. That way we can have our black and gold men kill this offseason. I want this offseason to be absolutely great. I want it to be electric. I want them to succeed on all facets. So give me the S's, just like LSU fan, Queen Courtney, Lucas, Gerald, or is it Jarrell? Is it Gerald or Jarrell? I want to make sure I get the pronunciation correct. Derek, Ty-Man, LSU fan, Lucas, good to see you again, brother. Ty-Man, Herbert Davis, Kermit the Frog, Lucas, LSU fan, all getting their S's in the chat. I absolutely love to see it. And another reason why you should subscribe is because not only as a part of these live shows are we going to be talking about the latest news and rumors and updates, but we're also going to provide you guys with the best content and the best coverage around your New Orleans Saints. So this is the latest update around the black and gold coming in from Ian Rappaport just a few hours ago. The Saints are scheduling an interview with Steelers quarterbacks coach and play caller Mike Sullivan for their vacant OC job. Sullivan will speak with the New Orleans Saints following his interview with the Raiders for their offensive coordinator job. First of all, I'm going to say absolutely not. No, thank you. Please no. There is, a little bit of a tie between Mike Sullivan and Derek Carr. Sullivan worked with Carr getting ready for the NFL draft. He actually worked with his older brother as well, David Carr. So that's pretty interesting, but I'm okay. The Steelers offense sucked. Kenny Pickett is terrible. He took over after Matt Canada. The Steelers were still bad. I'm personally okay. So, yeah, we just got to hit the news. But, no thank you. Go get somebody else like Zach Robinson or a Girouard Johnson or a G.J. Kinney or something. I got a bunch of OC candidates I'm going to throw your way here shortly. But before we get to that, what position should the New Orleans Saints draft at number 14 overall? Earlier I saw Kermit the Frog saying stop drafting offensive linemen in the first round, which I think is kind of a Kermit, I love you, man. O-line is the biggest need. O-line is the biggest need for this team. Obviously, you can go get a quarterback. Obviously, you can go get a receiver, defensive line, linebacker, safety, corner, whatever position you want. But I will say, I think that you got to go get an offensive or defensive lineman. That's my personal take. We'll get back to your answers here in a shortly. But we got our first super chat of the offseason. Shout out to Raphael. He sent in a $1 super chat from Canada, from the great country, the Maple Leaf country, if that's correct. But shout out to Raphael. Thank you for the $1 donation. We greatly appreciate you. But I want to know what position you guys want to draft. Raphael, let me know what you think as well. He says, who dat from Montreal, Quebec, and Canada. Shout out to you, Raphael. Thank you for donating to the program. I see Jared Verse / defensive end. Kermit says, go offensive line in free agency. Not a bad idea. He says we didn't learn from Trevor Penning. Offensive lineman, draft a head coach. Edge rusher, wide receiver. Jerry G says offensive lineman because of the situation with Ramczyk and Penning. We also got a $10 super chat from the queen herself. Y'all know what to do. Get the queen emojis in the chat. Get the Queen Courtney emojis. Drop the crowns because the queen is here. $10 super chat. Shout out to you, Queen Courtney. Thank you so much. We're not doing a giveaway or anything on today's live show. Maybe later in the offseason we will, but shout out to you, Courtney. Thank you for your donation. Keep on letting me know what position you guys want to draft. Brock Bowers. Raphael getting the queen emoji in the chat. Shout out to you, Raphael. King Xavier also sending in his Queen Courtney emojis. Nola Sports said, I heard Eric Fisher is a free agent. Colin says edge rusher. Ethan, Brock Bowers. Guys, if you want to go ahead and just use hashtag Saints with any of these players, sign, insert player, draft, insert player. Or if you just have a red hot take that you want thousands and thousands of Saints fans to see, we're going to have a mailbag at the end of the video where we're going to pop up your question, your name, your picture, your question will all be right here on the screen next to me, and we'll be able to put it out in a video later in the week, probably on Saturday or something, so that way you guys can see what other Saints fans are asking about. So be sure to use hashtag Saints to get in. Our software doesn't register it if you don't use hashtag Saints. So hashtag Saints, insert your question or your hot take. And if you want to send in a super chat, it's kind of like the fast pass at Disney or at your favorite amusement park. You skip the line. We spend a little extra time on it. We show you a little extra love. But let's get it started. Let's get it started here. If you're ready to get the show started, give me a hoot at in the chat and hit that thumbs up icon. We got 63 people hanging out with us, over 120 people already tuned in, but only 14 likes. Let's pump those numbers up. Let's get the likes up, and I want you guys to help us out. We're trying to be the number one watch. Wow. So Nico came to play. This one's rolling in from the newest father in the Houdat Nation, Nico Canada. Shout out to Nico. How much have I missed? Nico, you haven't missed a thing, brother. We're just doing our build-up portion of the show. We're letting more Saints fans pile into the live chat and into the stream. So you haven't missed a thing yet, brother. $50 donation. Nico is our offseason MVP. So shout out to Nico. And then we got, a first-time super chatter. And Gerald Jenkins, he is a first-time super chatter. We need to get our defense right. I totally agree. Kermit, I see your message. Yes, you did it right. Got to toss this in, unfortunately. Also, by the way, Chuck Schumer trying to take away Zins. Not cool. What a communist bastard. Gerald Jenkins, though, we need to get our defense right. I absolutely agree. I think that the defense is typically like the strong suit of the Saints. However, we've kind of seen it in the past in this year where the defense just starts off slow. Things kind of don't really get going. They give up a bunch of points early or they collapse in the fourth quarter. I just need 4 quarters of consistent football from the defense. That's it. That's all I want. Just give me 60 minutes, not even a full 60 minutes. Give me like about 30 minutes of good, consistent football. Everything's good, right? But Nico, shout out to you, man. Again, $50 super chat, getting this thing moving. What a legend. Wow. I mean, that is so cool. Nico, I'm really grateful for you. I appreciate your friendship as well, and thank you for always chopping it up with me in the DMs and all that. So let's get this thing started. We have 55 people hanging out. Once we get to 35 likes, we're starting the video. We only need 6. So I need 6 of you to be a homie, be a real one, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video so I can break down my perfect offseason plan. I encourage you to hang out throughout the video because not only are we going to be talking about my perfect offseason plan, I'm also going to dive into Mel Kiper's mock draft, and then we have that mailbag that I mentioned as well at the end of the video. So don't go anywhere, Saints fans. I hope you're still tuned in. I hope you guys hang out with us for the next hour or so. It's just Saints football. Let's talk about it, baby. Seeps, you ready to roll, baby? All right, let's do this thing, man. I'm ready whenever you are. I'm going to get a sip of water, lather the pipes, and let's run it. Lather the pipes. Let's run this thing. What's going on, Houdat Nation? Welcome into today's video, and for our latest New Orleans Saints news and rumors, I want to discuss my perfect offseason plan, and this is my 5-step plan to get the New Orleans Saints back in the postseason and competing for the Lombardi Trophy once again. It's really crazy. 14 years ago today, the New Orleans Saints, sorry, Seeps, beat the Vikings in the NFC Championship, and I'm feeling a little nostalgic. I want to get back to the big game. So I need your help, though. Subscribe for New Orleans Saints videos every single day. We're at 25,616. That didn't happen on accident. We give you guys live coverage during the regular season, live coverage in the offseason, and videos almost every single day. So lock us in, hit that sub button, and turn on your notifications. That way you never miss a thing. All right, step one of my perfect offseason hire, it's going to be nail the OC search. I think that I really, really, really have a good list of offensive coordinators that the Saints could go and call. Joe Brady, he did some good things with the Buffalo Bills, has, some ties to Louisiana, worked in LSU with Joe Burrow. G.J. Kinney, I've talked about him to a great extent on this channel. I absolutely love him. If you are unfamiliar with him, give him a Google or check out any of our other offensive coordinator videos because he is awesome and an offensive guru. Zach Robinson has been tied to the New Orleans Saints, has interviewed with the team, as well as Girouard Johnson and Clint Kubiak. I think that any of these guys would be a good hire, and these are my top picks. But here's how I would fix the offense for whoever that offensive coordinator is. The OC needs to implement more pre-snap motion, and they need to have a more modern-day creative offense. I want to see some guys moving around. I want to see some confusing packages. I want to see the running back get used in motion. Throw Taysom Hill in motion. Utilize the creativity of a young offensive mind. And you need better protection and run blocking. A lot of criticism on Jamal Williams for not being able to be as successful in the run game as he was in Detroit, but I'm going to keep it real. A lot of that has to do with the run blocking, as well as Alvin Kamara, who had kind of a down year as well. And here's another thing. Don't be afraid to air it out. When Derek Carr hit Rashid Shaheed deep, holy cow, was I a little girl screaming because, goodness gracious, it was so much fun, and it felt like more times than not it worked out. Also, you have A.T. Perry throwing the ball. Okay, so you can also stop with the stupid penalties. They just continuously shoot the Saints in the foot, and you need to play to your weapon strengths. Start using Alvin Kamara in motion. Give him the ball in open space. Utilize Taysom Hill to his strengths. Utilize Jamal Williams. Utilize Rashid and Chris Olave and all of these players to their strengths. And for number 2, I talked about the offense, but I think the defense also needs to get a little bit more explosive. So at the linebacker position, I have a handful of targets in the draft and in free agency that could address that. So in terms of free agent targets, I like Frankie Louvu, Patrick Queen, and Blake Cashman. Those are just 3 guys to keep an eye on. Of course, there's plenty of other names that we're going to talk about throughout the offseason. But these are 3 guys right now that I think could be a pretty good could have a good impact, on the Saints defense. And then if you didn't want to go free agency, you wanted to go the draft route, you got Jeremiah Trotter out of Clemson, you got Edgerrin Cooper out of Texas A&M, which is Dennis Allen's alma mater, Woo Pig for the record. Junior Colson, he's a linebacker out of the national champion Michigan Wolverines. Cedric Gray rocking that Carolina blue with the Tar Heels. Jalen Ford out in Austin, and Peyton Wilson over with the Wolfpack at NC State. I think these are all solid linebacker prospects as well. But I want you to be the GM for me. Would you rather build your team in the draft or free agency? I saw a guy in the live chat, Kermit the Frog, saying, I like building in free agency for certain positions. But I want to let you guys be the GM. Just give me a D or an FA in the chat below. And we are going to have more off-season steps that the Saints have to utilize in order to get back to the postseason. But before we get to that, got to give a big-time shout-out to Prize Picks. And if you guys don't know what Prize Picks is, if you've been living under a rock for goodness sakes, it's the best daily fantasy sports app in North America. It's a free download, and this note is awesome. You can use code CLNS for a $100 deposit match, meaning you put down $100, they put in $100. You got $200 to make your projections with. You also can play the more or less game. It is a total blast. It's so much fun. And I've actually won some real money. You can win up to 25 times your money. I got my little brother hooked on Prize Picks, and he's a college student. I'll tell you what, he's having a lot of fun getting to go out to the bars with his winnings on Prize Picks. And if you want to increase your winnings, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Plug in that promo code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Shout out to Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, next one's pretty obvious. I talked about it a little bit ago. You got to build up the offensive line. I mean, this O-line was underperforming everywhere. Erik McCoy, best lineman on your best PFF graded guy on the line. Ryan Ramczyk, he's great, but he's starting to have some injury issues. He's getting a little bit older. Things are starting to kind of slow down for him a little bit. So I think that you got to build up that offensive line. And if you want to go and draft some O-linemen, here are 3 guys that I like: Joe Alt, JC Latham, and Graham Barton. There's, of course, the offensive lineman out of Oregon State. You also got some guys out of OU. You have a lot of offensive linemen draft targets you could get. But if you like building in free agency like Kermit the Frog, what about a Jonah Williams or a Robert Hunt to shore up that offensive guard position? He's a versatile guy. What about Trent Brown? He's another player that could come in and help out the offensive line to give it some better production, if you ask me. And here's the thing. I believe that you cannot miss on back-to-back offensive linemen in round one. If you're going to go and get a guy in the trenches in round one at pick number 14, it cannot be another repeat of Trevor Penning. It has to be a surefire pick. It has to be a guy that's not a project. It has to be a guy who can play right away. Trevor Penning, he's approaching that bust status. In 2023, he only had 417 snaps. It's kind of his rookie campaign because last year he was dealing with an injury, and the production was bad, guys. He got benched, never got put back in. He wasn't even in on a lot of the jumbo packages, which is just not good news. So Trevor Penning is approaching bust status. I think that the Saints got to get a offensive tackle to help him out. Maybe they move him over to guard to try and salvage that draft pick or something, but I don't know. What do you guys think about Trevor Penning? Is he a bust, or is it too early to tell? Just give me a B for bust or E for it's too early. I want to see him play a little bit more. I think either answer is totally fair, so I want you guys to be honest with me and let me know. All right, cop out. Sorry, we just got to talk about it. The cap gymnastics, we got to do it. Kai Harley, I hope you ate your Wheaties because you got some work to do, my friend. Once again, the New Orleans Saints find themselves in cap hell. We've been here before. We've been there, done that. We've done this 1,000 times, it feels like. And per over the cap, the Saints are roughly $83.7 million over the cap. So Kai Harley, like I said, it's time to work your magic. So here's 8 guys that could get some restructures and restructure their contracts to give you some cap savings. Cameron Jordan, you could save about just under $9.5 million. Demario Davis save $8 million. Erik McCoy save just under $7 million. Carl Granderson, who signed an extension early in the season, you could get him to save $7.2 million. Cesar Ruiz, who signed a extension last offseason, right before the regular season started, actually, $6.6 million in saving. Taysom Hill, the flex position, the Storm and Mormon, I like to call him, $6.6 million. And Alvin Kamara could even save you $8 million, which, if you add all that up, rounds out to just about $52.5 million in savings. And now, obviously, there's going to be more moves that need to happen, but this is a great place to start, and I think that these are 7 guys that you should definitely restructure. Now, lastly, I'm gonna just preface this. Hold on. You see the asterisk right here. You see it. I don't think I don't want the Saints to trade Marshon Lattimore. I don't want them to have to replace him. But there's an asterisk because just in case they do, you have to find a replacement. Now, why could Marshon Lattimore be traded? Well, he got a contract restructure a few weeks ago, and Nick Underhill, he went live on NOF Network, and this is what he said whenever that deal happened. He said he was offering some clarity on the deal. He said it's an option bonus, not a signing bonus, and it's set to hit a week before the 2024 season starts. The only reason to do this is to leave the door open to a transaction to where you can move on from somebody. Based on some of the stuff that I've heard way behind the scenes, not surprised this is something that everybody's kind of open to at this point. So we'll see if it actually happens, but the table has been set for a trade to be made. Now, I do think that the Saints are going to try to keep Marshon Lattimore, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do move on. I think that Marshon Lattimore is a great player, and obviously he's one of the best cornerbacks the Saints have ever had in franchise history. I feel like that's something fair to say. And Catherine Terrell did add some context on this, and I'm going to read you guys what she had to say, because I think that if you were to trade Marshon Lattimore, it's not necessarily the best idea. So in terms of adding to some context, just a random note about Marshon Lattimore's option bonus in his reworked contract. There is a, quote, de-escalator that can reduce his salary up to $250,000 based on how much of the offseason workout program he attends. So that is something worth noting, and that is the latest on Marshon Lattimore. But hear me out. I want to start right here. This is not my top choice, but it's certainly an intriguing option. Now let's move up to step 1. Saints could go re-sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I know a lot of y'all hate him. I know a lot of y'all have some bad blood and some bad memories of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but here's the thing. C.D. Deuce is a great football player. He brought a lot of energy to this football team, and Alontae Taylor, here's my thing. He failed at the nickel cornerback spot, so I think that you could go and get him to fill that void. Plus, Taylor was much more successful on the outside. Again, not my top choice, but it's an intriguing option, and it's one that I think New Orleans should at least explore. But if you're not going to do that, here's some draft and free agent targets that you could use to replace Lattimore. Cooper DeJean, I've seen announcers pronounce it both ways. The cornerback out of Iowa would be really cool to have. Terrion Arnold, I think that he's the better of the two cornerbacks out of Alabama. Nate Wiggins, the cornerback out of Clemson. Steven Nelson, he's with the Houston Texans, and Michael Davis with the Chargers are all options that you could go and get to replace Marshawn Lattimore. Again, I think the best option is keep him, but if you had to go and replace him, here's a handful of guys. So if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you guys, and I want you guys to be a part of our Real One Roll Call. Just give me a real one in the comment section, and as always, Saints fans, y'all stay golden. See you next time. All right, let's see who the real ones are. Comment section's actually is a lot more receptive to C.J. Gardner-Johnson than I thought they were. I thought I was going to have people coming for my throat on this. C.J. Gardner-Johnson did kick a Falcons logo in their own stadium, so.
And he also was beefing with Baker Mayfield.
He also did beef with Baker Mayfield, which
Positive.
It's a good thing to have. So let's see. Shout out to the real ones. Nico, Canada, one of the realest. U.S. champ, Gerald Jenkins. I think I saw a super chat from U.S. champ come in. Nico, Kevin, Raphael, who sent in the first super chat of the offseason. Jerry G, we're still live. Of course we are. Him Prod, real one. Ty Man, of course, is a real one. Him Prod, getting it in the chat as well. All right, U.S. champ, $5 super chat. I'm already hyped for next season with a fresh start. Me too, man. I'm already pumped up for next season. I know it's going to be a lot more fun than this season. I just got a good feeling about it. I feel something in my gut, but just for the record, I'm going to put this out there. We're $30 away from 100. We got to $100. That'd be pretty cool for our first live off-season show. Be pretty dope. I think the bosses would let us do a few more if we got to $100 today. So, you want to help a boy out and you want to get some more content, you know what to do. All right, so let's get a mailbag call once again. Friendly reminder, here in about 15, 20 minutes, we're going to be doing a mailbag. So ask a question or share a hot take. Use hashtag Saints. Better yet, super chat. You skip the line. We talk about your question a little bit more. We show you a little extra love and all that fun stuff. So I just want you guys to be a part of the show. Nico! We're $10 away. We're $10 away. So we're at $90.69. Very nice. Very nice. Nico, Canada, $20. Let's go! I love it, Nico. Man, it's just such a blessing to have awesome fans like y'all. I mean, here's the thing. I know there's some channels here at Chat Sports or even other channels that cover the Saints that they try to give you great coverage. They try to give you a bunch of live content and a lot of on-demand content, but I can tell you right now, no one's going to outwork what we're doing here. There's a lot of great outlets out there, and I'm proud to say that I'm a pretty good one as well. What do you think about the Saints' record in 2024? I'm not even looking at the schedule, knowing the opponents, 10 wins. I think 10 wins is totally fair. Quinn Courtney! We had $100 on our first live show of the offseason. Real one. Let's go! I absolutely love it. So I will say this. If you guys want to start doing some like happy hours or something after the live shows, like, would that be something you guys are interested in where we just kind of can do like a soft mailbag, taking super chats, have some drinks? We're not going to do it today. Don't worry, Steve. We're not going to do it today. We'll do it maybe as the offseason progresses, have a little bit of a happy hour before, on hump day. It's a good day to have a little happy hour before Thursday, So, all right. I watch other channels as well, but this is the greatest. Nico, I appreciate you saying that, man. Thank you so much. Other channels are blessed to have you, but I'm more blessed, brother. I'm more blessed. I hope the baby's doing well, by the way. Seems, I don't know if you know this. Nico, him and his beautiful fiance, they had a baby girl. She's the cutest little Saints fan I've ever seen. Right. I got to see a picture of her. Absolutely adorable. Congratulations to the Canada family. All right. I've done enough stalling. Lions Chat Sports. We're pretty good. 49ers are okay, too. Hey, Jim Hanlon. That's my boy Chase Sr. and Micro Mike. Love those guys. Nico says, sure would love to. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. All right, let's get into the next segment. What are we talking about? We're doing... mock draft. Mel Kiper, mock draft. He took an LSU player. Stick around to find out who it is and what I think. Welcome into today's show, guys. I'm feeling nostalgic. I'm feeling really, really nostalgic because 14 years ago today, pigs flew and the New Orleans Saints went to the Super Bowl for the first time in franchise history. So let's celebrate greatness. Let's celebrate the anniversary. Let's get 500 likes on today's video to send some love to Garrett Hartley and the New Orleans Saints for going to the Super Bowl so long ago. And hey, maybe if we get enough likes, they'll make it back to the postseason and the Super Bowl this year. All right, diving into today's show, we're discussing the Mel Kiper Mock Draft 1.0 that just dropped for all 32 teams, actually. I'm about to say just for the Saints, but for all 32 teams. And so for today's video, I'm going to go through all of the picks leading up to the Saints selection, dive into that pick and give my analysis, and then at the end of the video, I got a jersey swap for the player, and we're going to dive into the rest of the picks that Kiper had, just so we can all be smarter NFL fans, right? That's what we're here to do. So let's dive into it. Number 1, no shockers here, Caleb Williams, but a big-time shock at number 2, Jayden Daniesl jumps Drake May after the draft process, the combine, all the workouts and everything to be the number 2 pick over in Washington. Drake May heads over to New England. Marvin Harrison Jr., a BPA pick, goes to the desert and helps out Kyler Murray. Brock Bowers is headed over to L.A. with Justin Herbert. Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver out of LSU, maybe could be the next Odell. I think the Giants might hope that. That's why they took him at number 6. Joe Alt, a great offensive lineman prospect, heads over to the Music City. Dallas Turner, a guy that I'm pretty high on, heads over to the Dirty Birds, unfortunately. But Rome Odunze heads to Chicago. Olu Fashanu shores up that O-line in New Jersey, I guess. Nate Wiggins, a really lengthy and talented cornerback out of Clemson, goes to the Minnesota Vikings. And Laitu Latu to the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. I absolutely love that pick, and I love that prospect. But here's who the New Orleans Saints were selecting. Per Mel Kiper, Saints have selected Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver out of LSU. He's the 3rd LSU Tiger to go off the board at this point in the mock draft. He was 6'4", 205 pounds. He's a really, really, really fast football player. He's a wide receiver, too, behind Malik Neighbors. He can be a very deep vertical threat, and he can work from the outside. He can work on the inside at the slot position because of his great speed. He also has really great ball tracking skills, and he has phenomenal burst with big playability. I do like this pick, and I'm going to give some more thoughts here, but I don't know if it's the biggest need for the Saints. But if you stick around, like I said, we got a Brian Thomas Jr. Saints jersey swap that my girlfriend, Maddie the Baddie, made, so I encourage you to just hang out a few more minutes and see what that jersey swap looks like. It's absolutely fresh. But here's Mel Kiper on that pick. Derek Carr had an up-and-down debut season in New Orleans, and his sizable contract almost certainly means he'll be back as the starter in 2024. He will be back as the starter. For the record, Derek Carr is your QB1. But what do we know about the playmakers around him? Chris Olave is a star who's put up back-to-back seasons with over 1,000 yards. After that, there's some big questions. Kind of disagree. Michael Thomas will likely move on this offseason. I could see that. While Alvin Kamara has regressed in recent years. And while Rashid Shaheed has shown he can be a useful complementary receiver, Carr could use another asset in the receiving game to try and boost his offense. So Brian Thomas Jr., in terms of the production for him, 68 receptions, over 1,000 yards. Really, really good production for the receiver out of LSU. 17 touchdowns. And he had more touchdowns than Malik Neighbors, fun fact. And he averaged 17.3 yards per catch. I think Brian Thomas Jr. would be really, really fun in New Orleans. Correction on the screen, it was 1,177 yards. So sorry about the typo there. Totally cool, though. You get the idea, though. The production was really, really good. And I think that Brian Thomas Jr. feels like a really great Michael Thomas replacement. go from Thomas to Thomas. Works out, right? But like I asked a minute ago, is wide receiver their biggest need? I'm not necessarily sold that it is. I think that the trenches need to be shored up. I think offensive line, defensive line, much more important. Hell, I'd even argue linebackers more important than wide receiver. I think you got some good pieces in Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, A.T. Perry. You got 3 young guys that are good football players. So I want you to let me know, what position should New Orleans draft first? Wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, or other. This is your time to get creative. This is your time to share your thoughts and let me know. But I want you guys to let me know what position the Saints should draft. And while you're down there, we got a link in the comment section description for Game Time. It is my favorite ticketing app, and I absolutely love it. And I just want to say thank you to Game Time for helping me create so many memories in 2023. But in 2024, it's your turn. So if you go to Game Time and you use promo code SaintsChat, you get $20 off your first purchase. You can go to Jazz Fest. You can catch a Pels game. Go check out anything going on around New Orleans. There's always live concerts. There's comedy shows. There's all sorts of fun events to go to. And if you are planning on going to the big game in Las Vegas, if you use our code BIGGAME, with Vegas one, or if you use code Vegas100 for the big game, you will be able to get $100 off your ticket to the big game. And I know Vegas, $100. No, it's going to be a few $1,000s for the ticket, but think about it this way: $100 in Vegas can go a really long way. You put $100 down on a roulette table, it hits. You're feeling really good about yourself. So go download the Game Time app. Any returning or new users can use the big game code Vegas100. But if you're a first-time user and you don't want to go to the big game, just use code SaintsChat for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, diving into the possible wide receiver group, here is what the stats look like. All next to each other. Chris Olave over 1,000 yards. Rashid Shaheed, he's an all-pro punt returner. I think he's going to start earning his flowers and getting some more recognition next season. He was absolutely incredible. A.T. Perry, very, very limited production. He was a healthy scratch for the first part of the season because Michael Thomas was able to go. I love what I've seen out of A.T. Perry, and I absolutely want him to be a bigger part of this offense. Brian Thomas Jr., though, could add another element, and I love the player. So here's more from Mel Kiper on Brian Thomas Jr. He said that Thomas, the third of the LSU offensive players off the board in this projection, led the FBS with 17 touchdown catches last season while averaging 17.3 yards per reception. He had just 3 drops on 93 targets. That's really impressive. And he can take the top off the defenses and be a stellar number 2 option as a rookie. Plus, the born and raised Louisiana kid wouldn't have to leave home. So let's look at the depth chart because there are some guys who are going to be leaving in free agency or who could leave in free agency. Michael Thomas, he has some stuff going on with his contract where he will likely not be back next season. I would not be surprised if the Saints do not return number 13. Rashid Shaheed, he is an exclusive rights free agent, meaning the Saints get to offer him a contract for it. He's not going anywhere. Rashid Shaheed will be on the team next year. Lynn Bowden is a restricted free agent. Keith Kirkwood is a free agent as well. But you have A.T. Perry and Chris Olave as, not as free agents or with no designation in free agency. So I do think that wide receiver is a need. I'm totally okay with drafting a wide receiver for the record. I actually am a believer every year, doesn't matter when, go draft a wide receiver. I am an absolute sucker for wide receiver depth, and I don't want the Saints to have to rely on Keith Kirkwood and the Traquan Smiths of the world to be your wide receiver 1 and 2. So I think you go draft a wide receiver, maybe not round 1, maybe like later in the draft because that's where you got A.T. Perry and he seems to be working out pretty well. But as promised, here's that jersey swap for you Saints fans. Look how fresh Brian Thomas Jr. looks in that black and gold color rush. Shout out to my girlfriend Maddie. Thank you for making this edit for me. I appreciate you, as do all the Saints fans. They love this edit. If you guys like the edit too, just give me a fire emoji in the chat, like the video, just show some love. I think this is a pretty cool edit, so I just wanted to share it here on the channel. But let's round out the mock draft, go through the final picks. We're kind of a speed run here. So you got Terrion Arnold going before the New Orleans Saints selection to the Raiders. Keon Coleman afterwards. J.J. McCarthy for some unknown reason gets drafted in round 1. I just don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't understand it. Cooper DeJean, he goes number 17 overall. JC Latham, who's been rumored to the Saints, goes to the Bengals at Cincinnati. Jared Verse, also a guy who's been linked to the Saints, heads over to L.A. to team up with Sean McVay in that Rams defense. Kamari Lassiter, cornerback out of UGA, heads over to the Steel City. You got a bunch of guys in the trenches going to the Dolphins, Eagles, Texans, and Cowboys. And then a few more picks. Kingsley Sumatia, I believe that's how you pronounce it. If I butchered it, I'm so sorry. Chop Robinson heads over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like that prospect. He's a little bit more of a project than a guy who's ready to go right now. Definite attributes guy, but talented player nonetheless. Tyler Guyton heads to the desert. Adonai Mitchell, gives Josh Allen some help. Do they move on from Stephon Diggs? Who knows? Troy Franklin, the wide receiver out of Oregon, who's weirdly impressive and has not gotten a lot of buzz. Goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. They need all the wide receiver help they can get. Keewan Mitchell to the Lions. Ennis Rakestraw Jr. from Mizzou to the Ravens. And rounding it out, Amarius Mims to the Niners. So let me know, Saints fans, in the comment section, who do you want New Orleans to draft in round 1? I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. And just so you guys can have some context here, shout out to Matthew Peterson for giving me this information. Here's kind of how Mel Kiper's mock draft shook out. And this is purely on players that went in round 1. This has nothing to do with where they landed because that's even harder to do. But in January, remember, there's only 31 picks last year. So in January, he had 21 of 31 picks correct. In February, 24 of 31. March, 25 of 31. And in April, 26 of 31, which is actually not too bad considering there's a lot of picks and a lot of players that teams could go and draft. So thank you guys for tuning in to today's video. As always, I greatly appreciate you. And if you made it to the end of the video, we're doing something right. So hit that sub button, lock us in. And as always, y'all stay golden. See you next time. All right, let me know who you want to draft. Let me know who you want to draft. Yeah, you're all Gucci, brother. We got a super chat coming in from Niner Faithful Fantasy. Shout out to you. Which player has the most pressure to win the game for the 49ers on Sunday? Debo or Purdy? Let me know in red alternate jersey. Should I wear Purdy or Debo? All right, so I know Debo is dealing with some injury stuff. I don't know if he's going to be able to play. My guy Chase Sr., I'm actually our producer for our 49ers coverage, so not a bad person to ask this question to. I'd say probably the second best person at this company, considering I'm the producer for it. But I think there's more pressure on Purdy. I don't know if Debo's going to play, but I think there's more pressure on Purdy because think about the weapons he has. You have the number 1 running back in the league, Christian McCaffrey. You got Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel if he can play. George Kittle, clear-cut top 5 tight end in the league. You also have a great offensive line. You got Trent Williams, arguably one of the best tackles in the NFL's history. You got Spencer Burford, who's hurt. You got kind of a beat-up team just in general, but they're like kind of getting healthy. I don't know. I think that more pressure's on Purdy than Debo because I think that the quarterback always has more pressure. Obviously, if Debo is good to go, there will be pressure on him, but at the end of the day, Purdy's the one who's running the offense. He's the one who's out there throwing the ball, delivering passes, making checks at the line. I think there's a lot more pressure on Purdy to win the game against Detroit. And as for your Debo or Purdy alternate jersey, you got to go Big Cock Brock, right? Got to go Big Cock Brock. I think if Brock Purdy plays, you wear, or if Debo Samuel plays, wear his jersey. If not, go Brock Purdy. Go Brock Purdy. But let me know, what position do you want the Saints to draft? Offense from Lore. What position, Lore? O-line from Jerry G. Kermit says wide receiver or successful edge rusher. Nico says offensive line, defensive line. Nola Sports says stop hating. Who's hating? Who's hating? Niner Faithful, yeah, we were in the middle of a cut when you sent that super chat, so we couldn't just pop it up and disrupt the content, but we got it up for you, brother. Thank you for sending in that super chat. Anyway. Who's hating in here? Who the hell is hating in here? I don't know. I don't know. I don't see anybody hating in here, NOLA Sports, unless you call them out for me. Quinn Courtney says, wear your Purdy jersey. I agree. All right. Lore wants the Saints to draft a right tackle. I totally agree with that for the record. Best offensive play caller as well. Unfortunately, Ben Johnson is going to be a head coach. He will not be the offensive coordinator of the Saints.
So is Penning that bad?
Yeah, dude, he's been bad.
Really?
So Penning got benched, and they moved Andrews Pete from guard to tackle. So Pete played tackle in college. They moved him to guard because he wasn't as successful at tackle whenever they first had him starting there, and shifted him in. Penning gets drafted a couple years ago, and they benched him like early in the season, and he didn't play again.
Like the one dude from Old Dominion, Nick
Saldivari.
Did he play at all?
A little bit. Like he was a rotational guy. He was dealing with some injuries in the season from practice and whatnot, but then he also was just like a healthy scratch as well, just a younger guy.
Sophomore leap?
Personally, I'm okay with like letting him sit for a second and then throw him into the Wolves and let him earn his spot. Like, here's my thing. If you could get Nick Saldivari to be a good guard,
fuck yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
You don't have to draft. You don't have to draft or sign anybody.
Yeah, I like Trevor Penning too. That's actually
that's my thing. I liked Penning. I liked the aggressiveness. I liked that that killer mentality because I'm an old. I like to think of myself as an old school fan, dude.
Yeah.
Just hit. If you have 5 seconds, if you're a family friend, you have 5 seconds to mute it. Earmuffs, children. I loved it because it reminded me of the Marshawn Lynch thing. Run through a motherfucker's face.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that. Like, that is the mentality you should have in football. It's
again,
war.
Comes back to, are you actually good at football?
Comes back to, are you actually good at football? Yeah. It was like, I love football because I get to legally assault people. Well, here's the thing, Trevor. You have to be on the field to do that. If you can't get on the field, you can't assault anybody legally. That's not how that works, Trev. For the record, I want him to work out. I would hate to see the pick just go to shit and go to waste, but come on. Like, you just got to be better. But we did get a $1 super chat in from my guy, Jason Hampel. Shout out to you, Jason. Thank you for sending in the donation. We're at $106 in super chats. I'll tell you what. If we get to $200, I'll finish the stream with a beer bong.
I'll do this. I'll throw a deal out there for the people.
Producer Seeps wants to cut a deal. Producer Seeps.
I'll throw a deal out there.
First of all, glad to have you back, man.
Glad to be back.
It's good to have you back.
Appreciate you guys having me. I'll throw this deal out there. If somebody sends in, by the time we wrap up, I'll give you guys until the end of the last segment, $100 super chat, I'll do a boot.
$100? Just $100 flat.
$100 super chat, that's the deal of the day. Start off Saints lives the right way. That's the deal.
Beer boot for $100? Okay, so here's the thing. $100 gets you a beer boot from Seeps, and I'm doing a beer bong. So we're throwing down four beers. 4 beers if we get $100. Just saying. It doesn't have to come in. It's okay if it doesn't. But
there are some expensive boots that get thrown around at Chat Sports.
That's
this is a deal.
We have boots on our Raiders report going for $500. We're slicing that by 80%.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It's Wednesday also, guys.
It's Wednesday.
This is the last thing Trace and I have to do today.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of want to walk out with a little bit of a buzz.
If I stumble home, we both walk for the record. If we stumble home, not the worst thing in the world. Not the worst thing that's ever happened. Exactly. I also will add this. Producer Seeps and I are going to be trying to go live every single Wednesday throughout the offseason. So if you guys are unfamiliar with Seeps, I encourage you to go hit him up on social media, show him some love, let him know the Who Dat Nation loves him. Because without him, we're not able to do these live shows. So thank you, Producer Seepman, as always. But we will be here doing live coverage throughout the offseason. So I hope to see you guys in future live coverage as well. This one coming in from Nico Canada. Bang! Betty! Let's go! All right, so we will do that. We will do that chug after the mailbag.
After the bag.
We got to do our job first. We're responsible. Let me rephrase. We're sort of responsible adults here, so we got to do the work, and then we get to play. Work hard, play harder is the motto we have here at Saints Now.
Work hard, play harder.
Yeah, work hard, play harder, baby. All right.
Get him in.
Nico! What a man. All right, we need a few more questions for our mailbag, so Free way to get on hashtag Saints. If you do send in a super chat, you will be able to get a little bit more love on your question, and you skip the line. So that's an easy way for you to support the show. Also, an easy way for you to get your voices heard by thousands and thousands of Saints fans. It's pretty cool. So, Seeps, how are we looking on questions? Do we need more?
I think we're solid.
You think we're solid? We can.
Solid.
I can take my time with them if I need to.
Yeah.
Word.
Appreciate it, Benico. Nico.
Nico, bro.
Love the name Nico, by the way.
Nico.
One of my good friends at home name's Nico, and I've always said I might want to name my kid Nico.
Dude, Nico's a great name.
It's a great
name. It's a great name.
Great
you can
name.
have some good nicknames off of it, too.
Yeah.
Had a lot of really good nicknames off of it. Shout out Nico, man.
Started
This was like a great way. Like, I'm so glad that we got to do this day together with me and Seeps. And then on top of it, the Who Dat Nation showing out big time. Couldn't be better. It just couldn't be any better than this. But we're good to go?
Yeah, we're ready to rock.
All right, Baby O, thank you for getting that question in. We'll be sure to hit that. Again, even during the mailbag, if a question comes up or if you're like, oh, crud, I forgot to ask this earlier in the season, or this is your chance. So use hashtag Saints, Super Chat, and we'll get you on the show. They just now seeing BC's CB in the chat. That's so funny. All right. Let's do it to it. Mailbag coming up. Can't wait to see what you guys got to say. Welcome into today's New Orleans Saints mailbag with questions coming in from our live show. That is every single Wednesday afternoon throughout the offseason. I'm going to be live with my guy, producer Seatman, and we're going to be talking New Orleans Saints for about an hour, hour and a half every Wednesday. So I encourage you to tune in so you can be a part of a future mailbag. Don't forget to subscribe. Turn on your notifications. Let's dive into it. First one coming in from the scariest thing I've ever seen, the King Baby. I'm going to get to this question here in a second, but is there anything more horrifying than that King Baby mascot? I don't think so. I love it for the record. I think it's awesome, but I see that in my nightmares. Anyway, any chance the Saints could land T. Higgins? So, long story short, I don't think so, but we do know that in the NFL and to the New Orleans Saints, salary cap isn't real. Money doesn't exist, and it's all toy money, just like Monopoly. So I want to talk about T. Higgins' production here real quick before I talk about whether or not he could be a fit and he could come to New Orleans. The production speaks for itself. 42 receptions, 656 yards, averaging over 15.5 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns this past season. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, averaging 13.9 and 14.7 with 7 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. The dude is productive. The dude is a stud, and I love this player. And here is a possible wide receiver group he could join. He could join the likes of Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and A.T. Perry, who are really dynamic football players. That being said, I don't think that the Saints have the money to pay T. Higgins. I think that he deserves wide receiver 1 money, and I think that he is going to get that in the offseason, in free agency. Could he stick around in Cincinnati? Maybe. But I also do think that the Saints have bigger needs than to go and make a splash signing in free agency. So I would rather not sign T. Higgins. I would rather use that on like a splash offensive lineman, maybe, or a defensive lineman, like an edge rusher. But I don't know. It could happen, but I think it's not going to happen. I mean, you got over $80 million over the cap right now. So would you sign T. Higgins like you see up here? It's the offseason. Have fun. Like, if you guys are going to be super serious about a question somebody had, just get over it. It's offseason. Let's have some fun here. Shout out Producer Steves for popping this one up. Would you sign T. Higgins? Give me an S for sign or a P for pass. All right, Colin's asking, it's Karate Kid. They have a show about it on Netflix. Cobra Kai. That's what it is. Man, we just spent a whole 30 seconds talking about Cobra Kai on the mailbag. Let's get back to it. Trade AK and Thomas for draft capital or a defensive or offensive lineman. So I'm going to say this right now. You can't trade Michael Thomas. He will be a free agent. Saints are likely moving off of him this offseason anyway. Alvin Kamara is a little bit more of an intriguing option. I don't know what he could get in return. In my opinion, it's going to be one of those things. It's how much does the team trading for him value Kamara? Obviously, you need some offensive and defensive line help, but like if it came down to draft capital, it feels like a third-round pick for Kamara might be the best you get. Like, he is aging a little bit. He's losing his step a little bit. He's an expensive player with an expensive contract, and that's something that teams are going to know and they're going to look at when they do come up with a trade package. So you can't trade Michael Thomas. I don't know if I would trade Alvin Kamara because I like him as a player, and I think that he is a good fit right now. But I do agree. You need to address the offensive and defensive line. All right, Ethanol says Brock Bowers or Jared Verse. Jared Verse. I'm going to just right there. Brock Bowers, I think is a great football player. But my question is, where would he fit in on the Saints? You have Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson, and Foster Moreau that line up as tight ends. Eventually, you run out of space. Like, you can't, if you go get Brock Bowers, you're going to have to move on from a Foster Moreau. You're going to have to move on from a Juwan Johnson. I don't think you'd ever move on from Taysom Hill, but I think Jared Verse fits a much more important need and a much more immediate need for the Saints. I think they addressed tight end last offseason. They needed to last offseason. They brought back Juwan Johnson. They signed Foster Moreau. They have Taysom Hill as well, who can line up in tight end, who can do literally anything, but I don't know if I would draft Brock Bowers. That being said, if they did draft him, I'd be pretty happy about the pick. So here's 5 reasons why you should subscribe before we dive into a few more questions from you guys. We got interactive content all throughout the offseason and the regular season. We break down breaking news, rumors, coaching searches, offensive coordinator searches, any updates around the NFC South, we're talking about them. This is your one-stop shop for New Orleans Saints and NFC South updates. You got live offseason coverage. This was filmed as a part of our first live coverage for the 2024 offseason. It's a lot of fun. We already have $200 in super chats, and we're about to throw back a few drinks. So if you guys want to join us in future live shows and get Saints videos by Saints fans for Saints fans, join the channel, subscribe, because it's 100% free. Next question coming in from Baby O. Would you say that David Carr is better than Derek Carr? Also, please give me a shout out. Well, one of them is in the NFL right now, and one of them is not. So I'm going to go with Derek Carr. But shout out to Baby O. Thank you for your question. I appreciate you for asking, and thank you, of course, for being a wonderful subscriber to our channel. All right, next one coming in, Saint Nick. I like your little picture, man. Would you trade Alvin Kamara? Oh, wait, I get it. Saint Nick like Santa Claus, and then he's a Saints fan. That's pretty good. Would you trade Alvin Kamara away? So kind of similar to the last question about Alvin Kamara, I'm keeping him because I think that this draft class absolutely blows. Blake Corum is running back 1, I think. I don't really know, but did he get hurt? Like, that's my point. Like, can you give me 5 stellar running backs right now who would make an impact? If you wanted to draft a running back, or if you wanted to go get a running back that's young, last offseason was the chance to do it when you had Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs and a bunch of other really talented cats. I think that I would keep Alvin Kamara. I don't like what this draft class has to offer. And at the end of the day, he's a Saints legend. You know, let Alvin Kamara just continue to cook and do his thing. Because when you gave him the ball in open space, it felt like he was, when you let him do his thing, it felt like he still had a little bit of a pop. He still had that step. So I'm keeping Kamara. But I want you guys to let me know on social media if you would agree, if you disagree, if you think that trading Alvin Kamara is a bad idea, if you think trading Alvin Kamara is a great idea. I encourage you to let me know on social media. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter. I have 1,700 followers there. I'm trying to build my following up a little bit, trying to get to 2,000 followers. On Instagram, approaching 2,000 followers. So let's see, which one can we get to 2K first? Instagram or Twitter? What's going to happen first? And then also, I'm on TikTok posting a lot of shorts and short form content. So if you guys want to see more short videos and more content around your New Orleans Saints, I got you all 3 major platforms. Feel free to hit me up. It's at Girouard48 on all 3 of those to make it easy for you. All that information in the comment section and description as well. You can also find a link to get some Saints jerseys in the comment section as well. Go to chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. Michael Thomas might be on the way out, but Chris Olave is going to be around for a while. If you want to get a Mike Thomas jersey because he's not going to be around or he may not be around, this may be your last chance to get a Saints Michael Thomas jersey. So use our code right in our link right below. It's in the comment section description of the video. We got men's, we got women's, we got all sizes, we got all colors, we got a ton of players. We got it all. Shop at chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. All right, $20 coming in from When It Rains, It Pours. Should we fire Dennis Allen or super fire him? So I made a promise that I was done talking about fire Dennis Allen, but Rain sent in $20, so I'm going to talk about it. I think the Saints should fire Dennis Allen. They will not, though. They're going to keep him. They're going to run it back with DA. Mickey Loomis has defended him time and time again. I don't think the Saints are smart for keeping Dennis Allen at the helm, but I do understand why they want to keep him around. Credit where it's due, they were looking a lot better the back half of the season. Those last few games especially, they looked like a completely different unit. If it's up to me, though, I'm firing him, and then I'm super firing him, and then, yeah, I just don't want Dennis Allen around anymore. But like I said, he's going to be around, so there's no point in talking about it. Kevin, next one coming in from you, brother. Safety is going to be a problem soon. When do you think it may be addressed? So I actually think that the Saints are in a better spot at safety than people might think. Sure, Tyrann Mathieu's getting a little bit older, but you drafted Jordan Howden, who's been really good. Jonathan Abram, maybe the Saints bring him back and run it back with him, and that could – he was productive. He hasn't been amazing, but he was productive for the Saints, and I think that New Orleans does a great job of getting the best out of their DBs, especially when they're not playing at the highest level they possibly could be. So I think that they will address the safety position because you do need to eventually address Marcus May. Tyrann Mathieu is getting older. I could see them maybe adding a safety in free agency, like a lower tier guy, maybe drafting a late round guy as well. But I think next offseason is going to be the time when they're more in the market for a safety. I just think that they're going to run it back with the likes of Jordan Howden, Tyrann Mathieu, Jonathan Abram this next season. So thank you for the question, Kevin. Next one coming in from Kermit. You know what he says? Acknowledge me! Acknowledge the frog, and that we're doing, brother. Saints, can we all agree that Gruden would be a detriment to the team? The Saints don't need to try to retread old tracks. We need something new that matches what the current NFL teams are doing. Kermit, I 100% agree with you, for the record. I think that there are worse options than John Gruden, but I think that there's better options. I think there's, let's say, 10 options that are worse than John Gruden. Let's say there's 100 options that are better than John Gruden. I don't know if the Saints are going to go bring him in. He has that pending lawsuit. That's kind of going on, so we'll see what happens with all that. But shout out, dude, Sleeps is on his game today. So Joe Brady, G.J. Kinney, Zach Robinson, Girouard Johnson, and Clint Kubiak, those are all guys that the New Orleans Saints could go and hire as their offensive coordinator. Those are my top picks for the hire. I agree. John Gruden would be more of a distraction. I think that he's just too old. Like, he hasn't been in the NFL for a while. I get it. Carr played his best ball under Gruden, but I'm in the boat of I'd rather just let it run and go bring in a new, young, creative mind, not an old, stubborn, uncreative, unsuccessful offensive mind. But, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our mailbag. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. If you want to be a part of the next one, I encourage you to subscribe. Hit that big red button. You'll subscribe, and then you turn on your notifications. That way you never miss a thing when we go live. Shout out to you for watching the video. Y'all stay golden. See you next time. Wow. Nico. Happy Dad, if you don't mind. If they have the funnel out there, cool. If not, like the Freedom Funnel or the Merbanga is cool too. Nico, $100. We're going to go get that beer bong and beer boot ready. Producer Seeps is running to the main pit as we speak. Guys, we're at $226. Can we get to $300? $75 super chat, and we're at $300. That would be pretty nuts. If we got to $300 on the first live show of the week, or of the off season, who knows? Maybe we can get multiple live shows throughout the week. I'd advocate for that. Okay, secret time. I have a meeting with my bosses tomorrow in the morning. Secret time, I have a very important meeting with my bosses tomorrow. So, I feel like I could be a I feel like I could benefit a lot if we show up and show out in this off-season show, because bosses are going to look and they're going to be like, wow, you were right. the offseason show was a success. We have to do it multiple times a week. Who knows? Maybe. I'm going to talk to him about it, though. If we get to 300, I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him about it. John Borelli, my dad, says, are we doing boots? Yes, we're doing boots right now. Producer Seeps is on his way to fill up his. I'm going to do a beer bong. And I'll tell you what, if we get to $300, which is $75 away, I'll do a beer boot. I'll do a beer boot on top of my beer bong. Hey, look at that. Seeps is getting a boot. You want to do a race? Just slack you. Cool. So not producer Mitch. Mitchell Renz 365. This year it's Mitchell Renz 366. He said that he's down for a boot race, $100, and we can do it. I'm just saying. He said we would do a beer boot race if he would jump in. If we got another 100. Nico, you're totally okay. You already did it once, so do not feel like you have to do it again. I know baby stuff is, I don't know because I don't have a baby, but baby stuff is expensive, I can imagine. So don't feel like you got to do it. Don't feel like you got to carry the weight of the Who Dat Nation, Nico. But we are trying to get to 300. That would be pretty cool. $100 and we're there. Heck yeah. Oh, you're a legend. Put it in the pocket to warm it up a second. So sweet. Mitch said if we got another 100, he would do a beer boot race. So we'll see. Cairo, he's in the chat. Good to see you, Cairo. Lucas, can we trade Taysom Hill when he is good? He's healthy. He's right. He's good to go. Saints could trade Taysom Hill. I don't know why you would want to, but you could. My other thing is, too, I don't know how many teams would want to explore a Taysom Hill trade outside of the Broncos. Seeps, call me crazy about this. I feel like teams might be not scared. They may not want to trade for Taysom Hill because of how unique his talent is, and they may not know how to use it. They may trade for him and just be like, we don't know what we're doing. Sean Payton is the only guy I could see being like, I want it. The Sean Payton's the only one I could see making that trade. Maybe a Ben Johnson. He's creative. Maybe, but I think that I think he's sticking around. Want to go full screen for this one? Let's go full screen so we can get you some love. Nico, shout out to you, brother. We're going to go full screen so that way we can do this chug properly. Remember, $100 super chat. We're going to do another beer boot race between me and Mitchell Renz of the Raiders Report. He'll smoke me. Seeps, Cherry Happy Dad per usual. Let's do it, buddy. Oh my God. Chug, 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 chug. Seamen, 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 seamen. Let's go. 4 beers down the hatch like that. Producer Seeps carrying the weight per usual. He's always holding it down. All right, guys. I'm going to just do a quick little 2-minute, or I'm going to do a 60-second shot clock. If we get any super chats here in the next 60 seconds, we will stick around for another few minutes and we'll reset it. But if we do not get a super chat in that time, we're going to sign off. Let producer Seatman head on out of here because it's about 5 p.m., which means it's getting close to closing time. U.S. champ, we were not chanting.
Hey, U.S. champ, I used to get that chanted at me, free throw lines in high school basketball games.
That's actually kind of hilarious.
Oh, my God.
Did you really?
Oh, my God.
Dude, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
That's funny.
30 seconds. No super chats in 30 seconds. We sign off, and that's totally okay. $220 or $226 on the first off-season watch or live. I keep saying watch party, dude.
It's just habit.
Live show. First off-season live show. That's pretty incredible. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Short delay for those watching on delay. Or we're going to do a few seconds. Holy shit.
Oh!
Wow. Before we pop up that, Lanky Boy, maybe Brian Johnson should be the OC. The Eagles' offense sucked. No, thank you. but John Borelli. Mitch and Trizzy, get your drinking pants on. Seeps, do you want to hold it down? I'm going to go fill up my boot real quick. Do you want to hold it down for just a second?
Yeah,
or
I can go fill it up.
You want to fill it up? Can you just do the same that you had? Cool.
Wild cherry.
Yeah, I love that wild cherry action. I love that wild cherry. Lanky boy, also, by the way, like, I'm not coming after you. I'm not trying to, like, attack you by any means. Their offense was really bad this year. They took a massive step back from when they had, who was it? Jonathan Gannon? Was it Jonathan Gannon or was it? Yeah, I think it was Jonathan Gannon. Who was the? Shane Steichen. Yeah, it was one. But when they had. Okay. He said to knock. I'll slack him. All right, so Mitch is live on locals right now. If he cannot do it, it's okay. John Borelli, next live, we will do it for you. Deal, or I can come on to the Raiders Report and drink for you. Worst comes to worst, if we can't get Mitchell Renz on here, I will come and do my due diligence and drink on the Raiders Report because I owe you one, John. If that's what it comes down to, I will pay up. I will make sure I get you your money's worth. And Quinn Courtney, we also got a super chat from you. We will get that here in a second. Producer Seeps filling up my boot right now. Lanky Boy says, I agree. Cool. Just want to make sure we're on the same page. Like, I don't want you thinking I'm coming after you or anything. It's just, I wasn't impressed by him, man. I just wasn't. And that's okay. Like, it's all right. Sometimes people are good fits. Sometimes people aren't. All right. I messaged Mitch. I'll give him another, 30 seconds to respond. And if not, then it's okay. I told him, I was like, worst comes to worst, I'll just do a boot on Raiders Live for him.
Yeah.
So, Saints Faithful needs a race. The Who Dat Nation needs it. Okay, Borelli. So, if he can't go, sounds like he's still, hold on.
Brett said he just started.
Okay, yeah. So, he just started his live on local. So, the timing is not ideal, unfortunately.
We can always open it up, next show,
next live
show.
Next Wednesday? I think that's a great idea. Next Wednesday.
Mitch just owes one.
Yeah, we start off with a beer boot.
It's a beer boot tab.
We'll set the beer boot tab. So here's the deal: every $100 that comes in the rest of the live show, that's an extra boot that we have to do next week.
It's an extra boot for next
week. That's hilarious. Patrick Paul's a solid option in round 2. Good to know, Greg. I'll be checking that out. Drew Brees would be a nice coach. Okay, here's the thing, Lanky. I talked about Drew Brees as a coach on a video recently, and I also made a short about it. He isn't going to be a coach. I think he would be if he did come and coach, I think he'd be really, really good at it. I personally think he would be a great coach. I also think Demario Davis would be an awesome coach. Could you imagine having Demario Davis as your DC? Seeps. You have Demario Davis as your defensive coordinator.
He knows,
that team is not giving up a point.
A little D'Amico Ryans vibes from Demario Davis.
I love that. D'Amico Ryans vibes. I love that comparison. I love that. That is electric. All right, let's go to this Queen Courtney one, and then we'll do the boot. John Borelli, once again, doesn't sound like Mitch is able to do this boot right now, but we'll start off next Wednesday's live show with a boot race to make up for it, I promise. So for everyone hanging out with us, come back next week, okay? All right, Quinn Courtney, do you want my Chiefs to lose? I watched their last playoff game. Their guy gave me a headache, LOL. Man. It's not that I want the Chiefs to lose. It's that I want Swiftie fans to shut up. I'm sorry if that's immature, and I'm sorry if I'm childish for saying that. But I'm just tired of the Taylor Swift nonsense with the NFL. I'm just over it, man. It was funny the first the first week or two, and then it stopped being funny, and now it's just overdone. I saw a tweet from what was it? FanDuel. I saw a tweet from FanDuel. I was like, if the Chiefs win a Super Bowl, should Taylor Swift get a ring? Come the hell on. Seriously, that's what we're doing here? But no, I personally want to see a Ravens-Niners Super Bowl because I think it would be fun to see that rematch, and I do think that those are the best two teams. But John Borelli's asking, Queen Courtney, are you a Chiefs fan? I think she's a Saints fan first, but her AFC team is the Chiefs. I have an AFC team that I like to root for. It's the Titans. My dad is a Titans fan, so I grew up watching Titans games. by no means do I root for the Titans on a regular basis, but Titans are playing the Cowboys, Titans are playing the Falcons, Titans are playing against the Colts. Hell yeah, I'll root for Tennessee. Why not? They're a fun city. Nashville's cool. All right, let's do this beer boot. Let's sign off. Sign off. Let's get up out. Let's sign off. I think that's what I was trying to say. Can we trade for Russ? God, no, thank you. Please, for the love of God, no. Do not get anywhere near Russell Wilson. I was called the madman. In the walls of Chat Sports for wanting nothing to do with Russell Wilson last time he got moved. I was called a madman for wanting nothing to do with him.
Yep.
And I was right, and I'm still right, and I'm not wavering on that take. My daughter loves Taylor Swift. My girlfriend loves Taylor Swift too. Her music is fine. Let me just say, her music's fine. I just think the coverage and the overdoing it is so annoying. Like every time when Isaiah Pacheco scores a touchdown, they go to Taylor Swift. Why? She's not dating Isaiah Pacheco. Like that's my thing. It's just annoying. But I do like her music. Love Story goes so hard. I Knew You Were Trouble When You Walked In. Tough. The Red Album is great. Taylor's version also pretty great. I remember Shake It Off was a whole thing for a while. That was a crazy time in life. All right, let's do this. No more stalling. Beer boot time.
Let's do it. Shout out to John Borelli for the 100 and also Nico Canada, Queen Courtney. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys tuning in today. Every Wednesday we'll be here for the whole offseason, so make sure you guys do tune in. Every single Wednesday we'll be live, breaking down the latest Saints news and rumors, also having a couple drinks. And it's going to be a good time as Trace is deleting that Happy Dad boot. We're going to have a little buzz walking out of the studio today. Love it. Let's go. But that's it. Mm-hmm.
So we have a special guest in the chat, Maddie Holland, my girlfriend. I was trying to think of a joke to say there. Couldn't think of one. Could you pop up that Brian Thomas edit real quick?
Yeah.
Maddie, we put it on the show. Dude, I got to wipe my face from all that. Happy Dad. So look at this edit that my girlfriend did. So sick. It's so clean. I want Brian Thomas to wear a Saints uniform. I don't think he's the biggest need, but I think that it's a really cool edit. I think he looks really good in that black and gold. Is there any player who looks bad in that uniform, though, Seeps? Honestly. Like, that's a good-looking uniform.
Yeah.
It's up there with that throwback Vikings one with the stripes.
That one's up there.
That one's tough. That one's tough. That one's good. But yeah, here's that edit. Shout out to Maddie the Baddie. Thank you for making this and for giving the Saints fans a really cool picture to look at. Queen Courtney, my daughter loves Taylor Swift.
Hell yeah.
I don't hate Taylor Swift. I'm tired of the Taylor Swift stuff in the NFL. I like her music. I think that it's totally okay for us to have Taylor Swift in the NFL. I think it's totally okay if they're just right here coexisting.
Just more eyeballs on the game.
Yeah, more eyeballs on the game at that point. Borelli, good point. The Raiders uniform doesn't look bad on anybody. 60-second shot clock, and we're heading on out of here. We're $60 away from 400. Who would have thunk it? Not me. Who would have thunk that we would have gotten here? Definitely not I. Queen Courtney saying, what's up to Maddie? Lanky Boy says, I feel like we should draft Trop Robinson in the second round and a tackle in the first. I like that. I really like that move, Lanky Boy. My top edge rusher is Jared Verse. I like Trop Robinson in round 2, though. He is a little bit of an attributes guy, a little bit of a project, but I think that he could shake out more than Trevor Penning in terms of getting a project guy that may or may not work out. 20 seconds left, and we're heading on out of here.
Also, Chop Robinson, great name.
Great name.
Like great edge name, too.
It's a great edge rushing name.
Yeah.
Great.
Chop
Robinson, great name. Good. Smoke Monday, R.I.P. to the Saints legend. He's not dead,
Kool-Aid
but
McKinstry now.
Kool-Aid McKinstry, great name. Taco Charlton, great name. Not a great player, but great name. Can we trade for Chris Jones? Well, you don't have to. He's a free agent.
Yeah.
He's a free agent. Might have to talk about that in a future video because that just probably won't happen. He's expensive. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're hopping on out of here. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in today. 800 views on the day. That's pretty solid, I would say. $341. Not a bad day at the office. Later, Who Dat Nation from John Borelli. Shout out to everyone who hung out with us. Shout out to Nico Canada, John Borelli, Queen Courtney, Rain, Jason, Niner Faithful, U.S. Champ, Gerald Jenkins, and Raphael, who was our first super chatter of the offseason. Thank you guys for tuning in and for showing some love and supporting what we do here. Again, live coverage coming out throughout this offseason. Video coming at you here in a few minutes. Y'all stay golden. See you guys next week.